Are you newlyweds? Have you been married for decades? This episode promises to offer valuable takeaways. So sit back, take a glass of warm water, settle in, and join us as we explore the transformative power of forgiveness in marriage. Today, we have once again Mrs. Sam to have this discussion with. Mrs. Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, so today we are going to discuss forgiveness and forgiveness in marriage, letting go in marriage. It's one major thing that every would-be couple would have would hear when they are about to marry. People, there will be a lot of advice on forgiveness and all of that. So we want to explore forgiveness from our point of view and from experiences of others. Okay, so Mr. Sam, on forgiveness in marriage, what do you think about forgiveness in general? I mean, what's your perspective in general? How does it affect marriages? I don't know if there is a negative part to it, but positively or whichever way, what do you think about forgiveness in marriage?
Thank you for having me again. Forgiveness is a very big word. It's a very big word that carries a lot of weight. Everyone who has ever walked the surface of this earth, who is currently on this earth, would have a brush with the principle of forgiveness. If you're able to handle it well, you come out a better person. If not, there's a lot of work to be done on you. We are all learning. I haven't mastered the art of forgiveness yet. I'm still in the process of learning how to do that. But then I know that forgiveness is so much for me, the person who has been offended, even more than the person who has offended, the offender and the offendee. Okay. Because, see, even I when I talk about these things, especially when I'm on your set, I sometimes also like to talk about not only, because some of the things we talk about here is not only applicable to marriages, everyday life.
Yes.
And so you realize that everybody is offended at a point in time, gets offended at a point in time. And you notice that you who has been offended carries a lot of weight around. When the anger is fresh and all that, the emotions you go through also affect you, physiologically as well, not only emotionally and mentally. You see the person and there's a rush of emotions that come to the surface again. And you have to now deal with it. It's a lot of work. Comparing that to when you learn to let go, you are as light as a feather. When you're able to do that, you leave the work to the person who has offended you. Okay, so bringing that to marriage, I believe that, I know that every marriage needs a lot, tons and tons and tons of forgiveness. We are two different people who were raised differently. And so there are things I do that may rub off you in a negative way, vice versa, same as the other way around. If I don't learn to forgive, how do we move on? How do we build? How do we move to the next level? Because everybody who has been married, even if you've been married for a day or 55 years, if you ask them, we forgive forgiveness, dear. It is like in Suyayano. It has to be, you have to drink forgiveness each and every day. And so it is also an important key in marriage. But what I've come to know for myself is that, like everything else, it needs practice. You have to be conscious about it. Because it doesn't come easy. Learning to forgive one who has really offended, who has hurt your feelings, it's not just easy to do. Some people go like, oh, mediachano. But honestly, that feeling, that negative feeling, that hurt is still inside. It's on the outside that you say, oh, mediachano, and it's going to hurt other things in the marriage as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for that introductory remarks. Now, I'd like us to delve into the benefits. I mean, if it's that is crucial and important in marriages, then it definitely would have some physical, emotional benefits, even mental benefits. So, what do you think forgiveness comes with in marriage? Does it play a significant role? I mean, does it have some crucial benefit in marriage? We'll go into, the other aspect, but for now, does it have any benefit? I mean, why would if you offend me, why do I have to forgive you? I mean, how does it benefit me? I mean, or the marriage?
I think in my opening statements, I mentioned certain things that would come into play here. If you learn to, if you hurt me and I hold on to the resentment, it creates emotional barriers between us. In one of our episodes, we spoke about intimacy.
Yes.
If you harbor resentment for your spouse, there is no way you can connect, and that intimacy is a thing of it's gone, it's long gone. So when we forgive and truly forgive, we are made light. In my own words, that's how I like to put it. You are made light. You let go of burdens, and you are able to connect on a deeper level.
Okay.
And so one of the benefits is that it leads to increased intimacy.
Okay.
It fosters trust. Because if I have offended you and we talk about it, I explain, I tell you this is what I accept my fault. Okay, I acknowledge that I have hurt you and I accept my fault. And I tell you I'm going to work on becoming better. And I commit to it. And you see that consistency that I am committing to what I said I will do. It makes it brings a new kind of flavor.
Okay.
Honestly, for me, I think that you would see your husband or your wife in a more positive light. You know that this person, and again, a lot of the things we talk about in marriage are intertwined. Talking about trust, when this happens, you trust the person more that he has done exactly what he said or she said he would do. And so it increases intimacy. It fosters trust. What else can I say? Forgiveness. It creates that unity between a couple. Okay, because it takes a lot to say that you're forgiven, that you've let go of hurt, and especially in marriage. Actually, when this forgiveness thing, it's a teamwork. I, who have been offended, doesn't offer forgiveness on a silver platter or in isolation. You who have offended me also need to do your part of the work. So it goes both ways. Okay. So as we do this, as we go through this exercise, it fosters some kind of unity. It brings us together, tighter together. Yeah.
So if I'm getting from what you said, so forgiveness becomes easy when the other partner also, commits to, change. Commits to being better.
Yes.
Okay. So right. I think that's something we are, learning today, that even as we talk about forgiveness, it doesn't, like you said rightly, it doesn't go in isolation.
Yeah.
The other party has to do well to be able to help the person. Yes. All right. So the opposite is what I want us to discuss. So maybe the other party does, all that he or she has to do in terms of sincerely apologizing and all of that. And the other party holds on to resentments. How does that affect the marriage? Resentment, especially, it's a very big word. When you have feelings of resentment in you towards your partner. Sometimes I feel it's a very, I mean, it's a thing I sometimes think about, like, so if I resent my wife or if my wife resents me, I'm not sure why the couple can even live or should even live together. I mean, it's a very serious. So what is the impact of resentment on marriages when the other person doesn't just want to let go after a sincere
effort on the other person's part?
Yeah.
In this for this particular branch of the topic we are talking about, one word: time.
Yeah.
Time. You see, we all heal differently.
Yeah.
At different paces or at different pace. So yes, you might have done all that you want to do. You might have put in all the effort, shown the person that I'm committed to make this work again. Know that because you have done that doesn't automatically mean that I have to snap out of it. Yeah. It's like a light switch on, I'm angry, off, I'm okay now. Yeah. No. It takes a lot of time. Yeah. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. So give people space to also heal.
Okay.
But then I feel that as you've given the person space that I realize that I'm doing everything I have to do to seek your forgiveness and you are still holding on to the pain. I should have empathy for you to know that I've been hurt. Depending on what was done, I've been hurt to a certain degree.
Okay.
That it wouldn't just, and trust has been broken.
Yeah.
And we've had there's this Japanese or Chinese illustration of trust where a vase is broken.
Yeah.
And then they have this traditional way of patching up this thing with gold or something. It will be patched up, but you still see the scars. Exactly. Okay. It doesn't just, and then like a crumpled paper, when you straighten it out, you still see the creases here and there. So it doesn't just wipe it off like that. It takes time. So as you are giving me time to heal, it doesn't also mean that I sit back and then, I've done my part. Let's watch you do yours. I mean, my videos. You also need to still work.
Sure.
I believe that your work has to come in where you are staying consistent to the promises you've made to the person, that I won't do this again. Henceforth, these are the boundaries. Set boundaries. Let the person know that the boundaries you've put in place, you are going by them. You are committed to it. So as I sit back and I am still hurt, but I see that on a daily basis, I see that this person is doing what he says. He's walking the talk. She's walking the talk. Look, it will soften you a little at a time. It keeps softening your heart. By the time you realize you are ready to sit back on the table for discussion again.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sam. So, from what you just said, so trust, like we talked about in the previous episode, plays a critical role in forgiveness. If your spouse has built, some consistent level of trust, it becomes sometimes easier to forgive, be able to connect that way. Forgiveness becomes easier. You don't hold on to things for so long. But if it becomes habitual, your spouse continues to hurt you this way, continues to hurt you that way. He or she says, "Hey, I promise to do that," but still not doing it. The example you just gave, it's create more cracks and all of that. Become difficult at a point even to
the cracks are deepened.
Patch it up. Okay, so on that, let's go to some misconceptions on forgiveness. People tend to feel forgiveness means condoning or okay, I've forgiven you, or yes, I've forgiven you, so I'm actually condoning a certain behavior. You understand? So is there any misconception when it comes to forgiveness? And if there is, what are they? Before we come to personalizing.
So you've rightly said, we are learning, or we've learned, that forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone with bad behavior.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is, yes, I'm a human being. You've hurt me by this behavior. I let you know that you have hurt me in unthinkable ways. But then the Christ in me wanting to be like Jesus Christ, I'm ready to forgive. I'm ready to help us walk through this together. But then we would have to talk about what
Yes.
has been done.
Yeah.
If there are wrongs that must be righted,
Yeah.
we right it. If you've murdered someone,
Yeah.
for instance, I'm going to the extreme.
Yeah.
If I find out that my spouse has murdered someone, and in his moments of weakness or wanting to come clean to me, tells me that, oh, I was the one who offed this person. So because or I love you and I want to forgive you, it's okay, don't worry. And then we keep quiet and sit in our house.
That's a dangerous person you'll be living with.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes. We have to together.
Yeah.
We turn it over to the rights authorities.
Yeah.
But then I don't abandon you at that point.
Of course.
I'm still with you. We are still working things out. In the same way, there are other things. Let me bring it down. Let me be very realistic.
Yeah.
For instance, your husband, you find out that your husband is a serial cheater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And through severally, you've caught him in the act severally.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes to you crying one night that, oh, mami mejai minye bium masisa. You know he's been saying masisa every night. Every 2 months, biano abe masisa. Every 2 months, biano abe masisa ne yesu ne ya patch it up. But you still catch him.
Yeah.
And then this time he has cried, pa. And so you say that, oh, wasisa auntie, it's okay, I've let it go. No. We must talk about the root causes of everything. Talk about it, open communication. Let him know the actions he has done, how it has hurt you, how it has impacted you as a person, as a wife, the family, and all of that. And let us deal with that. At this point, a lot of the time, when it comes to some of these issues, there's a third party that needs, sometimes counseling is needed.
Yes.
Therapy is needed. Especially when the person is a serial cheater like that. Yes, wanting to forgive is a wonderful thing. Especially when you know that the person is also committed to wanting to change. Sometimes you can't, it's not like sometimes you can't do it on your own. You need help. You need divine help. And then sometimes too, you need that additional therapy, couple counseling, couple therapy to help you get the conversation going, know the kind of tools that you need to do, you need to apply to be able to get you back onto a certain level where you can start building from there. And it also doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge your feelings. I've said that. Let me reiterate that. That because you have to forgive doesn't mean that you also don't let your feelings be known. I forgive it. I won't say anything about it. No, it has your feelings, your heart's feelings must be aired. Yes.
So communication plays an important role.
Again, yes.
In forgiveness.
Yes.
Now, so on that, so there has been situations where people feel, the fact that he or she has, forgiven you means, okay, let's cite examples where there are cases of abuse. Especially in our time, these are very sensitive issues. Very. Now, when there has been consistent and established abuse over a period of time, now, if, the person who has, offended the other or has committed the abuse and all of that, continues to say, I'm sorry, but continues to do that and all of that. When can you say, especially we are Christians and we know we have to forgive. It is very important for us to forgive. So when you forgive that way, whether it takes a week, a month or whatever, when you forgive, doesn't necessarily say you have to, stay in that abusive relationship. Established abusive relationship.
We have established here that forgiveness doesn't mean condoning.
Yeah.
So the person is abusive, hurting you emotionally, mentally, physically, to the extent that sometimes even gets to the physical. Please. There are some people that the case is so destructive that you have to cut off. You have to cut off and save your life, not just your sanity, and save your life, because if you stay there, you will die. And so when it gets to that point, we have to apply wisdom. We need to know what we are dealing with, who we are dealing with. We need help. In such cases, you can't do this on your own. You need support. You need a very strong support system. You need professional help. You need that divine help to be able to go through that. So when we talk about forgiveness in marriage, there gets to a certain time. I guess all that I'm trying to say is that we try as much as possible to forgive, but then it gets to a certain time in certain instances. It doesn't mean that you condone bad behavior. You have to bring it out. Bring it out, and then probably you, depending on how things are, you know how to work around these things.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I should get from what you've said, I mean, so far in that story, if there is something I'm getting there, I mean, from a Christian point of view, we know we have to forgive. It is very important to receive forgiveness. We have to forgive. Now, so from what you are saying, it doesn't necessarily mean condoning bad behavior. It doesn't mean when a gun is put at your head, I mean, just be there for the person. If you can change it, just be there for the person to, I mean, kill you or something like that. Now, I mean, just for our viewers' sake, we are pro-marriage. We want to make sure they show you to make sure we are nurturing and healing or sharing our experiences to get marriages to work. We are so positive and hopeful that a lot of marriages will work. So on that premise, it still doesn't mean you have to get yourself in a position where, I mean, I use the word established. I mean, there's no way around it. Yeah. I mean, whatever it is coming from the wife, whatever is coming from the husband, there's that, I mean, perpetual. But if there is a way around it, now, the scriptures talk about the merciful receive mercy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't, again, so we have to understand, I mean, the scripture and how it is applied.
Yeah.
Now, the merciful receive mercy. You are actually helping someone when you get to let a person know how you feel about the situation, and you can extend that forgiveness. I mean, whether it takes a day, a week, or whatever. However, you can only help the person if you actually, I mean, when it gets to that point where, I mean, the two of you living together can be dangerous. It can be suicidal for both of you.
Yes.
And I think I've shared this with you before that when things get that way, it is possible the victim who is receiving the abuse one day will react and may actually end up hurting
harm. Yes.
Harm. I mean, a harm that the person may not have actually been extended to him or her before.
Yeah.
So it is actually better to remove yourself when you get to those, I mean, extreme situations than, I mean, be there and the person is trying to hurt you where you bottle with their body package, the person is dead. But you were the victim of this one. And people may not even understand, I mean, or agree to the fact that you have been the victim. So these are extreme cases. But on the normal day to day, as we bring our, I mean, discussion to a close, would you agree that when we build a lot of trust, when we saying sorry shouldn't be something we have to, I read a post on Facebook today actually that talked about the fact that people seem to be, especially even in marriage, has creeped into marriage so much that people, it's more like they are competing. They don't want to, they're showing that I can mafia you than, you know, that kind of thing. It's there is that competition to show that, hey, maniatic, I would show you than the other. You know, it's like a men and women game, and it becoming so much. And if I should share my experience again, because you're my wife, I mean, so that it wouldn't become just an interview. I feel for us, it might seem like, oh, forgiveness has been kind of easy for us. But if there is something I have learned from my perspective, it is because we've shown each other, I mean, we've tried to create a safe space around us. So much that, I mean, there are certain things that are off our list in terms of hurting, I mean, the other person. So I have the thing that if I get to the point of ever even thinking about insulting you, then I know I'm losing you. You understand? If I get myself to that point that even in an argument, I'm not emotionally, I don't check my emotions very well to the extent that an insult comes out of my mouth, then we are getting there. So I feel we have to build a lot of, and I think that's what we've been trying to do, a lot of emotional resilience to be able to check our anger, check the way, however the offense is, we have to be able to, I mean, partners should be able to talk about it. I mean, if you have to air it in a way that you feel, yes, air it, but make sure you're not, I mean, going About, do you agree to
I do.
those things?
I do. You know that there have been times when probably we've had some form of disagreement,
Yes.
or we've had some sort of, maybe fallouts here and there. For me, what I do is that at that moment where I feel angry or I'm hurt or whatever, like you were saying, I know that if I talk about it there and then, maybe the way I would communicate it, it would
worsen
the issue. But in my head, I know that this thing, I have to talk about it. But right now, if I talk about it, it would degenerate the whole issue. So maybe a bit later, it's in my head that this thing, I won't forget that I have to talk about it. I'll talk about it. But then I realize that when I'm able to hold off, calm down a little, and then later talk about it, me, Nankasa, I'm coming to talk. There are two things that happen. It's that I even forget what it was. Then I realize that it was trivial. It was nothing. Or now that I'm talking about it, I'm even seeing it in a different light. We are able to talk about it in a more matured way. You air out your difference, your opinion. I air out my opinion, and then we're able to find a middle ground. Yes, it might not always be all roses after that talk, but at least it is something to work on. At least we've taken a step. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned something about when you were talking, you talked about this talking about forgiveness in marriage, this condoning issue. There's this thing that I also want to say, that the fact that when we forgive finally, you don't hold it over the head of your spouse. When you have claimed that I have forgiven the person, don't hold it keep bringing it back. Because when you forgive, truly, when we say forgive and forget, see, forgetting doesn't mean that it has left your head totally. But those negative emotions that are attached to the pain or that event, you learn to let it go. And when that happens, you don't even hold it over the person. The moment you start, do you remember you did this and I forgave you? You keep referring to it. It means that the forgiveness process is not complete. Something is yet left to be done. And so if we are forgiven, I'm saying this because of the what you talked about, the day-to-day, things that creep up in marriage that we learn to forgive each other for. If we say we're forgiven, let us not revisit. Let us work on our own selves to let go of that pain, so that we don't refer to it and we don't let it resurface and open fresh wounds and old wounds, so to speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. This has been very refreshing. Again, we want to talk about forgiveness. It's been a wonderful session, and I think with your last words about, making sure we try as much as possible to, forgive totally, if you choose to forgive, and it's a choice. Again, I keep referring back to our Christian values. That, we know, and this is something crucial I have to talk about, that it is important that we seek help, professional help, and help from our Father in heaven. It is very important. You can't do it on your own to even forgive your spouse, depending on the degree to which your spouse has, hurt you. It is important to seek divine help to be able to, let go of, negative feelings and all of that. Sometimes, and just like we said in our first episode, the fact that we have learned maybe to forgive ourselves, or have been able to let go a certain particular circumstance, that particular circumstance can happen to another couple and they may not be able to deal with it well. It's the same vice versa. So I feel you don't have to compare that, this couple, the husband did this to, the wife, and the wife forgave him or didn't forgive him, so I'll also not forgive you. We shouldn't be comparing. We should know who we are. The kind of relationship we have established over the period and how we want to move on. And personally, I've said that if your spouse should be so important to you that you always want to hurriedly correct things, you hurriedly want to make amends. You understand? When you get to that point, everything you do, it is something you want to do. You want to make your, spouse happy. You want to be happy yourself. You want your relationship to be happy. You wouldn't want to break trust ever again. So, thank you so much, Mr. Sam, for your time today and speaking on this very sensitive topic. It's a topic that I know would interest a lot of people. So here today again, please share your comments, share this particular post and like them. Please subscribe to all the channels and please ask questions. Put in the comment section. Ask questions. Let us know what you think. Let us even know what you want us to talk about in the next episode. Thank you so much and see you next time.